Alrighty, guys. So later on in the podcast, we are going to be talking about my own personal hopes and predictions for Marvel's Thunderbolts. And I am very excited about Thunderbolts. I have been for quite a while. I think that this is a film that looks like it is really getting back to the roots of what made the MCU so successful, which is something that I am looking very much forward to. Also, just the ragtag group of heroes. I'm excited. I think this could be kind of Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, based on not necessarily in tone, right, but in terms of the group of misfit heroes and seeing where they go and how they develop into actual heroes instead of villains and anti-heroes and whatnot. So I'm excited about that. And like I said, later on we're going to talk about my own personal hopes and predictions. But before we get into that, the very first reactions to Thunderbolts have been revealed. Now, I know later on in the week we're going to get the actual US premiere and we're going to get the first review embargo. So I wanted to upload this in episode 75 of the Access Blockbusters Pod, and I'm going to try to upload the segment before any other official reactions come out, because these are the very, very first reactions. I believe this is coming out of the European premiere. Funnily enough, I think it's in London, right? I think it's in London that this is being held, because a ton of other random MCU actors showed up. And at first I was like, oh, does that mean that all these characters are going to be in Thunderbolts? And then I thought, no, that's silly, because at first one I saw on Instagram was Simu Liu showing up to the Thunderbolts premiere. I was like, is that a spoiler? Is Shang-Chi showing up in Thunderbolts? And then I realized if this is taking place in London, then it makes sense, because that is where Avengers Doomsday, I think, as we speak, is filming. And so Pedro Pascal showed up and Simu Liu showed up, and I was like, oh, duh. I mean, Avengers Doomsday is showing up. They probably just wanted to hang out and show their support. Maybe they had an off day in the shooting schedule and all of that kind of stuff. So that is what's going on there. But this is coming out of that premiere, the European premiere. And these are, like I said, the very first reactions to Thunderbolts. There are only a few of them. And I have to preface this by saying, we always say this, the first reactions generally skew very positive. So these reactions are indeed all very positive. And that's a good thing, right? Because you'd rather have that than the first reactions be like, not so sure, because usually what that means is that those reviews turn out to be very negative. So just keeping in mind, right, these reactions are going to be positive. It doesn't mean that Thunderbolts is going to have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It could. It very well could. It also could mean something like a 65%, right? The Captain America Brave New World first reactions are not this good, admittedly. They're not this good. But they were good. And the film ends up with about a 50%, 48% or whatever on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are like, yeah, it was okay. But generally, it's a good sign, right? And so I just want to precaution everyone. I want to just say that, it doesn't mean Thunderbolts is going to be the best MCU movie. I also think this exercise and just reading out some of these first reactions is good in just seeing what people did enjoy. Like, what were the specific aspects of Thunderbolts that people enjoyed? And I think that is going to be something that we can build off of from there. So again, first reactions, I'm reading a compiled list here from the Direct, and let's just go into it. Let's just read a few of these and see what people have to say. So this first one says, quote, Thunderbolts is in many ways different from other MCU films that have come before it, and that freshness couldn't have arrived at a more opportune time when the franchise is in need of new blood and direction. It's some of Marvel's darkest material to date, dealing with the emotional wreckage of broken individuals grappling with their past choices and finding camaraderie amidst the emptiness of their lives. This may be a team-up film, but it very much belongs to Florence Pugh, who carries much of the dramatic weight of the film on her back, while Louis Pullman delivers a complex performance as a sympathetic character at war with himself. It may not be the flashiest, funniest, or strongest MCU or Marvel film, but its rough edges and imperfections somehow all feel fitting for this anti-hero team of misfits. So that's not saying, oh, best movie of all time. It's actually admitting that, no, I mean, it's not the greatest one, but it still has a lot going for it, which is really good. Second one, quote, shocked how good Thunderbolts is. Putting emphasis on the character work and practical action makes this feel like the old Marvel that had us for a decade plus. Wish we'd gotten this sooner. Helps that this dysfunctional team has chemistry too. Another good one. Third one, quote, Thunderbolts is, I think is what they meant to say, is raw, hilarious, and deeply human. It's a bold dive into trauma, healing, and redemption. Proof that even the so-called defective losers and disposable delinquents can rise above their past and become the heroes no one expected. It's gritty, emotional, and unlike anything Marvel has done before. A must-see story that hits where it hurts and heals where it matters. One mid and one post-credit scene. Okay, so that's fine. And who knows what those are going to be. Fourth one here. Quote, Taps Mike, Thunderbolts was awesome. I don't know why they did that. Thunderbolts was awesome. Tons of implications on how the MCU is moving forward. I mean, that one, sure, people said came out of Captain America Brave New World saying things like, oh, the post-credit scene for Captain America Brave New World has huge implications for the MCU moving forward. It doesn't. So I don't know. I mean, I take that for what it is. I'm not really focused on that. I'm focused on the movie itself. Anyways, the team works well together. Plenty of emotion. Yelena is my MVP. Definitely a super fun movie. Definitely stick around after the credits. Again, this person's pretty focused on the MCU. That's fine and all. They're going to show up in Avengers Doomsday. We'll see what happens there. Next one. Quote, Thunderbolts is one of Marvel's most enjoyable films in a while. It feels different than most of the studio's projects. It's bold, funny, filled with great action and an unexpected emotional punch. Florence Pugh is the star that shines the brightest. There's a lot of love here. Make sure you stay for the credits. Yep. Like I said, you'll see in one of my predictions. I'm going to talk about the post-credit scene in my prediction. But again, it's not the focus, right? Post-credit scene can be whatever it wants to be. And we've seen in the past for Phase 4 that the post-credit scenes have just been whatever they've been. So, it doesn't really affect the movie itself, but still interesting to hear, right? Let's read a couple more. I think there's like 3 or 4 more. So let's read a couple more here. Quote, well, Thunderbolts is easily one of the best MCU movies in a long time and maybe one of my new personal faves. Has so much spark, charisma, and tells a genuinely emotional story you connect with. A tear was shed. Florence Pugh in particular is superb, just walks away with it. And let's read one more here. Quote, Thunderbolts is truly fantastic. Huh? Get it? Fantastic. The cast has electric chemistry with each other. Florence Pugh and Louis Pullman are the standouts, and the action sequences are very strong. But most of all, the film story hit me like a ton of bricks. It's bold, important, and so well written. So really, right? Again, positive reviews are positive reviews. What can we take away from them? First of all, Florence Pugh is a star. And we all knew this, right? Like, Florence Pugh to me was one of the best parts immediately of Black Widow. She is amazing. I love Florence Pugh. So that's great. That's great to hear, right? But the other thing here is that Louis Pullman also is getting a lot of flowers, which is good. And really importantly, the film, the comments, right? The people talking about the film seem to really be gravitating towards the idea that this is a film that deals with emotional baggage and is really good at it. So I'm actually quite impressed by that. I think that that's definitely something that is good to hear. And I'm surprised by that, but I'm really hopeful that this is going to be a film that hits deeper than a lot of other MCU films. We'll see, right? It could very well just end up being people excited from the first reactions or the premiere, but I'm very hopeful about this. So guys, what do you think about these first reactions to Thunderbolts? Does it make you more excited, or is this about what you expected from the first reactions? Let me know in the comments down below.